Hello all. So I was fortunate to have my meeting with Barry on the first week that we were back, and having just completed the new storyboard, it was the perfect timing. He helped me break it down and looked at what I had planned, and he inserted some extra scenes to give different camera angles and also kind of keep the flow moving good. First scene he suggested was after the view of Tadhg and his kids in his home to have a close up of him where he closes his eyes and thinks back to the old battles with Brian Boru, which is the next scene, which is the dual panel scene. And that one, we kind of talked through what could happen, where as this scene on the left of young Tig and young Brian Boru goes up. Um, on the right, Tig and his family in his home meet the messenger with the summons to join the new battle. And they could have the messenger walk in through the now vacant empty space into the second frame. From there, the next scene he suggested changes to was what I call Tig on the Rock scene. It's where after meeting Maliki, Tig goes back to his troops and tells them essentially that he's not a traitor. He's going to stand by his chief. He's going to stick with Brian Boru and go and head into the battle in the morning. He suggested that I add two characters on either edge to kind of create a more encompassed view audience for Tadhg, which I did, and it looks really well. So thank you, Barry. He also suggested a close-up shot of Tadhg when he delivers the lip sync that I will not abandon my chief, which makes it easier as well to do the lip sync, I assume. Haven't done it yet. I'll find out. Later, when it gets to Tadhg meeting Van O'Connor, the King of Offaly, in their fight, I originally had Tig on the left-hand side because in all the animation he's moving from left to right, but in the next scene he's lying dead on the beach on the right-hand side. So he reckoned that it would be better if I flipped the scene of the battle so that he was still on the right-hand side, leading the audience to the following scene. When I was talking to Alan about the animatic, he was worried again about how the camera was moving in Premiere Pro, and in particular the amount of zooms that I've had, stating that zooming in films is not too common. I was probably overdoing it, so I've modified some of my scenes instead of zooming in, that they are clean cuts to the zoomed in shot to kind of streamline it a bit better. Also in the scene with Tadhg and Drogheda Ben O'Connor, Jennifer suggested that when I had the silence part, I had a 2 second silence gap, that I used that time to fade to black and fade back out of black to kind of give that transition period more significance. And after that point is when the Yonku appears. Then the appearance of the Yonku was the next scene, and he suggested that I should do a close up of the Yonku coming out of the portal. And later, it was mentioned that it would be good to have a view of the looters on the beach prior to the Yonku. I think it was Paul and Dave that suggested that one, that to have the looters on the beach, then the portal with the Yonku coming through it, and then cutting back to the beach. So those scenes were created. All that combined leads me to the current animatic, which I hope you enjoy. I went looking for new audio to go with it. I've narrated it, and I know it's supposed to be locked, but when Maliki is talking to Tadhg, I left out naming Maliki as the former High King. As it stands, nobody knows who he is. So it will increase that by a second or two just to include that part. But beyond that, I think most things are included. Hope you enjoy. Bye.